Kyiv is almost 8,500 kilometers away from this dusty refugee camp on the outskirts of Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. Yet the impact of the war in Ukraine is plain to see.
The burden of food shortages is directly related to the fact that the world has turned its back on Somalia to focus on Ukraine. Most of the aid to Somalia came from the West, but now their attention and aid has been diverted to Ukraine.
Somalia is in the midst of its worst drought in 40 years and is bracing itself for further famine and more deaths. Yet aid agencies warn that barely any humanitarian assistance has arrived. Before the war, Mogadishu imported 90% of its wheat from Moscow and Kyiv. Now that prices have surged, the impoverished state is struggling to buy what is needed. Bulk commodity prices have been rising since 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, disruptions to supply chains, soaring fertilizer, fuel and energy prices. Flooding and drought have also affected food production. And Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February pushed prices even higher and reduced the availability of food. Together, they supply 30% of the world's wheat.
This year's food crisis is about lack of access. Next year's could be about lack of food.
The disruption caused by the war has rippled across the world, and the United Nations say food prices in May were 30% higher than a year ago. When the world's 7 richest nations met last week, they pledged $4.5 billion to tackle global hunger. But critics argue it is not enough to feed the 345 million people facing hunger emergencies. Save the Children says the world is facing the worst global food crisis in living memory. Failure to act swiftly will reverse progress made to fight hunger and will claim countless more lives.